Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Lifting Show of February 21st, 2017. I am Joanna Michaels, and along with Christopher Stephen Jacobs, we host this show, and we are thrilled you are joining us tonight. I hope you have visited our website and read our blog. Our website is thelifting2017.wixsite.com/thelifting. For this week's blog and show, the guides requested the topic of hardship to be discussed. I have to tell you, at first I kind of balked at the idea of doing the show. I feel we have worked so hard at starting to have the show and the discussion, and I really honestly thought this was a little bit controversial, and I didn't want to turn any listeners away. But I have to be honest and say that it does need to be talked about, and it is actually quite important. So sometimes we just all have to be brave and take an honest look at ourselves. And growing through all of this requires such reflection so we can finally get it and start moving forward. So as we said in the blog, the concept of hardship is very personal and based on each of our experiences. What seems like a bump in the road to some may be a head-on collision to others, but you guys know that. What I think you may not know is how much effort is put into you not realizing that maybe some of the hardship you believe you are in is actual programming, and it's quite intentional. So on tonight's show, we want to break as much of this down as we can in 1 hour so you can fully begin to reflect on how this all affects you in your life right now. So with that, Chris, if you don't mind, let's go ahead and give an affirmation and blessing for tonight's show, and then why don't you lead us off in the discussion?
All right, I can definitely do that. The affirmation and blessing for tonight is by Lintazar. May all see and feel that true hardship within their lives ceases with the realization that it simply does not need to be. Blessings to all. Lintazar. All right. As you know, tonight's discussion is about hardship. So, what kind of programming themes keeps us thinking we are in hardship? Well, there are several things out there that keep us, some of us, believing in and existing within what we know as hardship. One of which is voice-to-skull technology. Now, I've actually spoken quite a bit about this on past shows and various other mediums, but I will explain further. This is primarily used by the cabal and AI in an effort to keep people from evolving. They have the technology to speak to people directly within their very own heads. Yes, this is an actual piece of technology used by your very own government. You know, a lot of people think this is hard to believe, but it's actually based in a real science. So they use it to keep people in a state of anxiety and fear, to not only keep them from evolving, but to create the fear and pain energy known as loosh to provide sustenance to the Draco reptilians and the AI controller spheres. Another way the darkness convinces people that they are indeed in a crisis is by implementing a group of people known as inborns, which we discussed on a previous show. These people will sometimes be within a family and cause large amounts of fear energy to be spread around a home, thusly putting everyone in a state of panic, usually over bills and money concerns. That's a biggie. I actually lived through that particular experience. This is all to distract people from their true purpose and, of course, to give energy to the Draco reptilians and the AI controller spheres. The inborns, AI, Draco, and Cabal make people think that they never have enough money for what their goals or dreams are. I've even heard people say they will never see a certain family member or person again because of the fact that they believe they will never have the money to travel to go see them if they move away. I've heard this quite a bit, actually, with some clients and with other people I've run into. I feel this is also a knowledge deficit on people's part as to what a hardship truly is. However, I am not blaming people. How could anyone truly know what is affecting them on an almost hourly basis? How could they? It is important to realize that if you are indeed a person in a situation like this, like I once was, never to give in to that kind of fear. Never let it rule your thoughts. Only remain a margin for error. A cautionary thought when actual danger comes to call. You see, it is that cycle of fear that manifests more fear and the lack of money, which causes more fear. As was said by Michael, there are worse things out there than numbers on a piece of paper. Can you add to this, Joanna?
Yeah, so when I think about hardship and the programming and things that are done all of the time to us, it's so multifaceted, the different layers of hardship. And one of the ones that I know causes a lot of people anxiety is that concept of um, that old concept of keeping up with the Joneses. It's like comparing yourself and feeling that, there are these certain things and certain objects or feelings or desires that are things that you're supposed to have or feel, and you are spending your time and energy trying to acquire things that really may not truly be that meaningful if you actually even sat down and thought about it, about really what was meaningful to you. So, the latest phone is now a big one. The latest and greatest phone causes a lot of anxiety, and people are potentially embarrassed to pull out their phone, and that, in their opinion, causes them hardship, not being able to acquire the latest fads or the latest TVs or the latest phones or whatever jewelry or whatever else it is out there that or car, keeping up with the Joneses. And then kind of another hardship is placed upon people with what I think of as all of the commercials out there that want to remind us again about either how fat we are or how sick we are or how out of shape we are, or that you have no willpower, and all of those contributing commercials that really play on your subconscious, and magazines and different things like that. And then one of the ones that I think is really causing a lot of hardship are TV commentators. And, you saw it the whole time with the political arena and the pundits out there trying to always drive the conversation of how the American people felt or what they wanted, like they actually even knew. But and especially again laying in the programming with comments of things like it will never change. It's going to be more of the same, or even worse. We'll never get along. They'll never, and setting the stage for that subconscious thinking, which turns into real thinking, that there is no way we could ever make this world a better place. And then that puts everybody into a mindset of hardship and avoidance of, speaking and talking and being authentic. So, my whole contribution to a lot of this is it is so out there and in our face and in our daily lives, and it affects everyone, that you really have to take a good look at what is out there that's contributing to your feelings of being in some sort of hardship. And is it real or not? Now, there are certainly people that are truly around us in hardship. I mean, if you are starving, right? If you are in an abusive situation, if these things are really happening, then of course that is hardship. And of course, you hope that it is noticed and that people are helping, or that if you are in that hardship, that you are being helped or encouraged somehow to make a change. And we are not in any way, shape, or form downplaying any of the true hardship is there. But in general, many of us have an imaginary sense of hardship that has been yoked upon us by all of this other stimulus out there that, whether or not you realize it, plays upon your psyche. So again, we've been just reiterating that you need to take the time and step back and kind of try to disconnect from it, and do your best to catch yourself and stop listening and turn inside a little bit and figure out who you are and what brings you joy, so that you can tune out those contributing factors that make you feel you're in hardship when maybe you are not. So that's kind of my feelings, Chris. What else would you like to talk about?
Yeah, that's actually very interesting, Joanna. Like I said earlier, there are many contributing factors that get people to think that they are in some sort of crisis. I actually lived with people for a short time when I was in Arizona the first time, and there was a particular person that would cause great amounts of fear to be spread throughout the house. And I did not know at the time what inborns were, or disinfo agents, or any of those types of things. I did not know of these things then. And I just knew something was wrong. And I just knew there was large amounts of fear energy being pumped into the air on a regular basis. This person just could not stop, sobbing over bills, sobbing over everything. And I'm not saying everybody that does that is this. I'm just saying this was an over excess amount of fear that was being pumped out, and an non-average amount. And then eventually it dawned on me later on in time that this particular individual was trying to actually pump out enough fear to make everybody manifest more hardship, or at least the perception of hardship at that particular moment in time. And I know that very clearly now, but at that time I did not, because I was embroiled very deeply in it. I was in a state of utter panic at the time. So actually, we'll go on to a different topic now. I need to briefly talk about something that came up to us in the past couple of weeks that I feel contrasts this topic quite well. I will not go into extreme detail, but I will still want this person's story told, so that we can all start to not only see what true hardship looks like, but to start to co-create a new reality. All right. First off, we want to make sure you all understand this is not a story, but a real life of a very real person. Within our energy circles, there are other people out there in the universe that we share a reality with. No matter the distance or time, the connection is always there. Joanna was feeling the effects of a life of such a person. Out there in our universe, there are slaves, real slaves. They are people that have been stolen from their lives here and taken to the furthest reaches of the quadrant to either be put on another slave world or to be sold to someone else. Yes, this does happen, folks. I know quite certain this does. I've had some friends that have actually seen some of these things take place, have interacted with ETs that have actually instructed them that this kind of thing goes on. At first, I didn't completely buy into it, but I've had this confirmed by more than a couple sources. So, including guides, including physical people that have encountered this themselves. So, this does happen. One such case was of a woman we came to know as Linda. Her family here believes she died in a plane crash long ago and is now buried in a family plot, when in fact, She was taken right off of the very plane that crashed, quote unquote. I am uncertain how long ago this occurred, but it was not any time recent. It's my belief that it happened between the late 90s and the mid 2000s. When we looked into this, we saw her in a round facility on a desert-looking world. Many people were bidding on her and several others. She had spent many years being abused in just about any way you can think of. What Joanna was feeling from this related to someone who wanted to assert themselves and be respected. Although some could say that Joanna was just feeling things in her own life, there was no immediate connection to anything. Joanna knew the feelings were related to something else. Joanna then began to have physical symptoms that seemed extreme. I had seen such things before with dimensional issues, and so I started looking. Then once I told her I thought it was dimensional, the guides stated that we needed to look at this together. We both viewed it and hoped we could assist in fixing it. Joanna realized how out of balance this person had become. This person had been victimized to the extreme and now had a large overage of darkness, victimhood within her soul structure. This was fine with the darkness. They did not care. However, it could send growth backwards if left as it was. This can cause a lot of hardship and a lot of heartache here on Earth that does not need to take place. Anybody that's within your dimensional circle that actually is going through something, by a certain level of physics, you can feel it too. And I've run into this many, many, many times over. Maybe if the soul was wanting darkness, it would be okay too, but this person was of the light. I could sense this person was very kind, very caring, but they were at the end of their rope. And so this overage would cause a great harm to this soul. We spoke to the guides and tried to see if she could be rescued, but they said no. She was so far into an area off limits to them that if they intervened, it would be argued that the light broke the rules of engagement. So the goal changed from one of rescue to balance. It became evident that she would not survive this, but could she be balanced before she died? And the answer is yes. So how does one of the light become balanced when they have an overage of victimhood? Well, the opposite of victimhood is perpetrator. Linda had a chance encounter with persons of the resistance who helped her to overcome the programming she was under and gave her the choice on what to do. She saw there was no way out and decided to end this torturous life for herself and as many others that she could help. And why were we there? Why did we feel it? Well, why did we get pulled into this? Well, apparently she needed emotional support and understanding to do what was necessary to obtain this balance. And as we came to the same conclusion that there was no other way, and that the balance of her soul was the most important, we sent her love and compassion and understanding that gave her the strength to do what she needed to do. And with that, and without a word being spoken, she set off a bomb that killed herself and many other abusers, enough to counter her overage of victimhood. It was the source who assured us that she did die balanced and her soul was of the light. And in all honesty, we are not over what we saw. This was actually a very rough vision sequence. I with some dimensions that I look into. Some of them that I have to look into are very unbalanced. They either have to be detached from the circle in some way, balanced, or they have to be changed in some way. And this was one of those balanced moments that Source just had to deal with it in Source's own way. I don't know that we'll ever be over it, actually, nor should we be. It was actually a very sad moment. Pretty much ended our thoughts on hardship was for us. We have no such thing here in comparison to that, except in little remote corners of the planet. But it seems out there in the universe there are these areas that have it far worse than we do here. We, like Michael said in the blog, we don't know how good we actually have it here. This is actually more of a paradise compared to some of the places out there in the quadrant than we seem to think it is. And I trust him. Yeah, he sees all of this that's out there, even though he kind of hangs here to this particular sector. Him and his children and several others that go out there into the system more and out into the quadrant more. They report back on some of the stuff that's actually taking place out there. So I do believe this was truthful information that we were seeing. So with that, I'm going to see what the Galactics have to say on this particular subject. All right. I know this seems like it's pretty quick to this point, folks, but we will see what they have to contribute this evening. I'm going to get a drink here because I can see a couple here. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. Okay. And the forefronter to this crowd of Galactics would be one of Michael's children, and his name is Malachi. You've probably heard me mention this name on this show before in the question and answer show a couple weeks back. So I'm going to see what his message concerning this is. Give me just a moment. He's extremely high density, so I cannot carry his energy very long. He's of the 19th density. Give me just a moment. Greetings, all of you on this call this evening and all that will hear this recording later on in time. My name is Malachi, and I am the son of the one you know of as Michael, or the one you have dubbed the Archangel Michael. Now, what I have come here to say is this. I, Malachi, have bore witness to many things out there in your cosmos that are either most joyful or most disturbing in nature. There is a balance in this universe that must be adhered to, must be seen, and must be felt, and must be weathered at times within the most enduring of situations. This particular balance, as it were, must be adhered to by nature, must be adhered to by my group of M, must be adhered to by the constant of the universe. Balance in all things. This involves all aspects of life and all aspects of creation, involving not only the left brain, as you call it, but the right brain, as you call it. This means a balance of both logic and a balance of both artistic and intuitive ventures. Now, on to the topic that was spoken about this evening of hardship. In relation to lesson, there are certain things that you encounter in your life that make you grow as a person. There is no doubt that this takes place. But what is being spoken about this evening is the overage thereof. The overage thereof is what took place with this poor unfortunate person named Linda, of which I bore witness to the very night that these two witnessed this event. This happened in the outer reaches of your quadrant. This was nowhere near your world. This was in a territory that was heavily guarded by people you would call bad guys, or a slave trade route that passes through this part of the quadrant and connects to a portal system that goes out into other galaxies and the like. Yes, there are far more portals and wormholes in this quadrant than you actually know of today, but I digress. This particular corridor is very similar to your ancient Silken Road. that provided wares to many parts of China and the like. This particular corridor is what the slavers prefer to bring these particular people in and out of this system and the like. This person had actually been taken off of an aircraft here on your Earth during one of your supposed crashes that you see on the TV periodically. This was, as this one said, between the years of 1998 and the year 2004. This was one of the aircraft that was mentioned. I will not mention the specific one directly because her family would be listening to this particular broadcast. I will say this, though. The latter of the years is more accurate. But I digress. These particular events that are hardships for these people that are brought out into the universe is most disturbing to us. But since they are within a territory that is not governed by the Galactic Federation, nor is it governed by the Oneness Council, the former Elohim, or any of the Pleiadian collective tribes, or the Syrian star beings and the like, we can get nowhere near this particular territory. So, there are times where some people are sent in as eyes and ears in an attempt to actually shut down this particular corridor. This particular planet that was within this corridor, and I do say was because the explosive was strong enough to rip the planet's atmosphere away, was actually a strategic point within this particular corridor. We do not condone violence of any sort, but in this particular instance, this balance was necessary to be restored to the quadrant. This particular planet sent out enough ash and soot and rock into this corridor to where it is now useless to these slave traders. This particular explosive sent out all these rocks going through this particular portal system and sending them to all corners of this particular quadrant through that corridor. Now, any ship attempting to fly through there, through the wormhole, as you would call it, would get pelted by space junk, rocks, bits of metal, and the like. There is no way any ship could survive the tidal forces of the wormhole and survive the rocks and such pelting the ships and the like going through. It is now useless to them. This was the purpose to this. This particular ovage of darkness was causing a large amount of unrest between the Galactic Federation and the Pleiadian collective. So, in this particular instance, this balance that needed to be restored did indeed get restored by what you humans would call the traditional means. But by no means is this a preferred method of defense by any stretch of the imagination. However, I actually can honestly say that this particular hardship, this so lessened and humiliated people of all kinds, shapes, sizes, creeds, colors, and races and genders and the like, is now shut down permanently and completely because of this one individual and her group of friends and allies that actually cared enough to end this sort of hardship with the balancing that has now taken place. Now, onto your world and the hardships that exist within your realm or sphere of influence, no pun intended, of course. The hardships that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, the simple things such as money concerns, the simple things such as getting out of bed, for instance, the simple things such as conducting your day-to-day lives. You have it very good on your world currently. You may not seem to think so because Earth is under what you will perceive as the thumb of the cabal. However, the Earth is actually at a point in its evolution to where it is more of a paradise than you seem to think. If you did travel out into the cosmos where you believe that there is this magical fairy tale going on in all corners of creation, you are sorely mistaken. Your corner of the universe is at a pinnacle of evolution, at a cusp of change, as you would say. Your precious earth, our precious world together, is indeed a paradise. Even though there are definitely hardships abounds on the earth, this is not something that we can deny. They are far lesser than the ones that I have just previously mentioned. There are, as you say, in space, the bad neighborhoods, as it were, of the quadrant. Very much like you would have a bad neighborhood as you perceive it to be on your world, in some of your cities and corners of your world. This is very similar in nature, but again, on Earth, you have it far better and far more. You're far more free there than some of these other poor and fortunate people that exist out there in the cosmos. Just know that you are very blessed to be alive at this time in history. You are very blessed to see the changeover that your world is going through currently. And you are very blessed to know that this changeover will send waves and repercussions out there into the cosmos, therefore changing all of these supposed bad neighborhoods that are within your cosmos, balancing both aspects between the Pleiadian Collective and the Galactic Federation, and any other points in creation that exist currently that are in actual points of hardship, very much like some humans that are taken out to other galaxies and the like. Every point in creation can feel every other point in creation, even though people do not yet realize it or feel it themselves. This tonight's show is just an example of one case. There are millions of cases around your globe very similar in nature to this. But there is hope, everyone. There is definitely hope. In any case that you feel a slight difference in your day-to-day life, a slight bending to a different mode of thinking, even for a second, this is not always oppression, dear ones. No, this may be a calling, a pull to actually send positive energy out there into the cosmos, and then indeed helping, even in passing, some of these people. And therefore, when you send out compassion and kindness and love to these poor and fortunate people, they in turn become balanced, and it reflects back at you, and therefore it then allows you to grow internally. Now, to begin the cycle, grow internally, to recognize these changes in the ether around you, grow internally, to be able to assess whether you are being oppressed around you, and grow internally in order to be able to help those around you most efficiently, therefore turning your world into what is known as a balancing world. A balancing world has a most important job in the cosmos. Earth is the next balancing world that is going to be birthed in this universe. Two, creation itself is like a birthing that is taking place, because the earth is about to take its rightful mantle in the skies of the sights, as it were, beyond time itself. The scene or galactic scene that the earth will eventually enter will be that of balance and be that of oneness with everything. Though it is balanced on an individual basis as well, your precious earth will eventually become a sight to behold in the cosmos by all races wishing to become different. There was a phrase coined many years ago, Earth, planet of choice. This still rings true to this very day, because even though there are oppressed races that are drawn into your system quite a bit, their souls actually cried out to help the rest of the universe. So it is no accident that these races are drawn into the system quite regularly. It is actually their choice for when they became divided from their creator and divided from creation. Granted, it's not always this way, but in most cases it is. These races will eventually contribute to Earth becoming a balancing world, and therefore helping other worlds ascend, to coin a term and to use a term most widely used, to join the rest of the cosmos in oneness and in choice and in love and creativity. This is a balance that we all must strive for. The yin and the yang, the good and the bad. These are separate concepts that do not need to be separated any longer. Just know that any hardship that you suffer from your day-to-day lives is either induced from an outside source and or does not need to be at all. Thank you. All right. That was Malachi that spoke, and he was speaking for Michael's children. They have to have a spokesperson in place because they are of such high density that them speaking all in one voice would make my head explode. So, or at least seem like it. So, we'll see if there are any other people here that wish to speak. Let's see here. Let me get a drink here. Let me see. I will see what Galactic wishes to talk now. Aha. Looks like Lentazar wishes to speak now. And she raises her hand like a school child, which is kind of funny. So, I will bring her through and see what she wants to say to everyone. Then afterwards, we can take questions from the audience. If there are no more Galactics, that is, I wish to talk. Give me just a moment. Lentazar here, everyone. I wish to give a brief message on what Malachi has just spoken about. Your world, your precious world of Earth, as you now call it to be, is the third in succession to the balancing worlds that have come before it. There are other nameless ones that go beyond this triad, but I will only name a couple. The one you know of as the planet Nibiru, or the planet of the Orion souls, is indeed your precious planet, but in a different time continuum. Therefore, it is a shadow, a mar, and a dark past that now has become your world. This is something that is less known to that of your people, but I figured I would bring it up nonetheless. The other is a planet in your system that you know as Mars. It is also known as Lemur to the Pleiadian people. This is another planet that has gone through such an odd change in the multiverse, such as Earth and Nibiru. So, it is part of this particular triad, as it were, because all of these particular world Gaia forces, as it were, are linked at the hip. Now, there is one that I have not mentioned that was also within your system long ago. It was known as Maldek. That was my homeworld of choice back in the day. Maldek, when it exploded, sent pieces raining towards Earth and Mars. This is why there are so many pockmarks also in the backside of your moon, along with some weapons damage and the like from the old wars. I will not get into it currently. But in this particular day and age, all these converging energies from the old and the new, and the not created, and the already created, and the collapsing timeline, and the re-emerging timelines, all are converging on a central point, your world of Earth, all converging from the ancient hellish past to the future that has not yet been completely written. Yes, children of Earth, the future is in your hands, within the present moment. Exist in the present moment, free of hardship, free of fear, free of all that ails you, but balance in all things. So if you are afraid of something, go through the fire, deal with the problems that you are currently having, see past it, but also exist in the current moment. By existing in the current moment, you aid your planet in this most important transition in history, when it becomes a balancing world in your histories and forever is solidified in the galactic history books known as the Akashic records. It is then birthed into a much larger record book known to all galactics throughout history. This is what happens when a balancing world goes from dark to light. Thank you. All right. Let's see here. Any more galactics want to talk? Okay, somebody is waving at me with both hands in the background there. Who is this? I don't recognize you off the bat per se. I don't recognize this person. He looks to be a little short person. He looks like a gnome or a very short person. He's wearing a white robe and a large hat. And so I'm going to see, who is this? Oh, this must be a newcomer. Okay. He came from behind a crowd of galactics and decided to wave with both hands. So I will see who he is before I let him in. Is he new? Yeah, okay. He's nodding his head. He's new. Is he a gnome? No. Okay. Okay, yeah, now he's complaining because he's saying, does it matter what he is? Okay. No. Okay, just so I know, he's a nature element. So, of some sort. And everybody's nodding, yes. So, I will let him, okay. Okay, everybody's in agreement that he's all right. So, I will let him in and see what he wishes to contribute to tonight's conversation. Hello, dear star travelers and star seeds. My name is Iksa, and I am of the elemental code, as you know my group to be. We are headed by the group known as Epsilon. I, Iksa, am of a race of people that are not yet known to your kind. You know my cousins, the gnomes, the Grimpa, the leprechauns, and the like. But my people have been obscure to you in the background. We are not Fey folk. We are not Bigfoot. We are not any of them. We are of a different kind altogether that actually emerged from the world of balance in which you would consider to be the distant future. However, we also exist in your current present moment. Why, you ask, and how, you ask? Well, logistics of such are quite complicated. I will not go into them this evening, but I will say this. All time exists as one. All moments exist as one on your world of balance, your world of beauty, your world of hardship abounds in some areas, is indeed that of a balancing world, is indeed that of past, present, and future. All that you know, all that you think you know, does not exist at all. Just know you are the harbingers of your own doom. You are the creators of your own peace, love, and creativity. Just know you are in the driver's seat of this. No oppressive force out there has the power to hold a sword over your head like the sword of Damocles. No, 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 no. No creature, no negative force, no demon, as you call them, has any power over you to cause such hardship. No inborn has any power over you, no matter what their genetic codes say. No alien, as you call them, has any power over you, no matter how powerful their technology is. And no ancient being of any sort of negative force has any sort of negative power over you, no matter if they helped create your species or not. No, 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 no. No council, no vote, no grouping has any rights to your sovereignty, dear humanity. No. Your people are in the driver's seat of the balancing world. Be as such. Be in the moment always. Thank you. All right. All right. Yeah, he was a new one. His energy was definitely that of a completely different time skew. So now, is that the last person? Okay, that's the last person. Okay. So I will now, unless you have anything to add, Joanna? No? All right. I will now open this up to questions from the listeners. And, looks like we already have someone in here. This looks like Jim tonight. I will tell people how to get put in the queue. You push *6, and when prompted, press 1. I will now take this call from Jim with the number ending in 4577. Jim, welcome back to the lifting.
Yeah, hey guys, how are you?
Good, Jim. Can you speak up just a little bit?
Yeah, I'm pretty much kissing the phone right now, so I really can't get much better than what I've got.
Okay, you're fine.
Okay. So I haven't been able to catch the whole show. I've been going in and out of the house here, so I hope to stay in the theme within the hardships. But my question, basically, I read the blog. Very disturbing what's going out there in Cosmos. I was thinking that things were a lot more peaceful than what they really are. I really had no idea. I'm kind of blown away with that. So I'd kind of like to base my question on, I think it was 2 weeks ago, you guys talked about the rules of engagement. Mm-hmm. And I'd kind of like to know, since I've been putting in my formal requests, a couple of them I feel have been pretty big ones, and I'll just say it right now. One of them was a request to actually clean up Fukushima and all the damage that it's caused. Now, my question is am I setting my sights too high for the rules of engagement as a human, boots on the ground, or is it sky's the limit, and are there any limitations? So that's basically my questions.
Actually, no, you are doing the right thing. It's always good to put thoughts, prayers, and formal requests and the like in favor of things like Fukushima and any other dangerous spot on the planet, like Chernobyl and the like. In such larger global concerns, the Galactics would tell me that it would take more than one person to be able to clear up. Since it's more of a global thing, you can put in the request, but since there's the free will of everyone around you, other people would also have to put in enough, and enough people come together in one place and make that same request, then of course these Galactics can come in and fix these more global problems. Now, on a one-to-one basis, if it's within like a personal thing in your life, and it would just take you, but in a global concern such as Fukushima, it would take a much larger group.
I see. Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering. So that pretty much answers that. Well, that's pretty much all I got. I didn't get to catch the whole show. I wished I could have, but it didn't work out that way. So I'll let it go and see if anybody else comes on. I might have another question if nobody else comes back.
All right. Thank you, Jim. I'll keep you on mute here and see if anybody else comes in.
All right. Very well. Thanks, guys.
Mm-hmm. All right, everyone. If you wish to ask a question this evening on this topic or what have you, it is *6, and when prompted, dial 1. I'll give people a couple minutes to get in the queue. Let's see. Not seeing anyone else come up in the queue. Give another minute or so, a couple seconds. Okay. I will, doesn't look like anybody else is in the queue, so Jim, I'll give this back to you then. Okay, it looks like you can ask another question, Jim. Nobody else popped in the queue.
Okay, all right. So the Council of One, there was time, I think last year, I think 11/11 of last year, you and Joanna were somewhere in the East Coast, and you guys got to talk to a whole bunch of galactics that came in. Helios was the speaker, the main speaker of the day, speaking for the source. Mm-hmm. And I guess the source had decided that everything was going to, all councils were going to be, I think, pretty much condensed into one called the Council of One. And I'm just curious if that is still in play and where they're at currently and what they're doing, how it pertains to helping us with the hardships we have here on Earth. It sounds kind of funny now to listen with all the other hardships going on out there. I don't want to sound like a crying little baby, about planet Earth here. But I am, since we only have so much time here on Earth, and we have amnesia, we don't have memory of what's going on out there. I can only focus for myself, for the most part, here on Earth right now. So basically, what's the Council of One doing? What's their current plans or agenda, or what do they got going on? If I can ask that.
Okay, it looks like Joanna's going to answer this one. Go ahead.
So, the funny thing about all this, Jim, because, I was kind of in that same mode, and, we've a few times gotten involved in certain, scenarios surrounding them, either meeting new species that were making themselves known to maybe be added, to the council. But I have to tell you, in all honesty, one of the things that the council themselves have been working on is just learning how to get along with one another. So it's a really interesting dynamic because I think, part of what probably has people not feeling great about this show, it has a lot to do with what you're saying, is that it's just not quite what people are thinking out there. That, everyone wanted to think, and again, I hate to call the New Age movement, there are certain parts of that, I'm so sorry to say, that are kind of the psyop side, where most everything that we've been, indoctrinated in normally would have somehow been taken over and to put mistruths in there. And so one of the mistruths that's been put out there is that whole concept that we're on the verge of everything just being love and light, and that's it. And we're all going to be kumbaya, and everything's going to be lovely and pretty, and we're going to join our galactics who are just all love and light, and that's what it's all about. That's what the New Age wanted everyone to believe, and it's just not true. And right. So, in all honesty, some of the council members themselves have to learn to get along with other council members and be able to, work on compromise and understandings and not judging. And it's been really, really interesting. And so I know that and I know Chris can speak on this, but I just really wanted to say this. And again, I still, understand that this show needs to be spoken about. I kind of was hoping it was going to come on later down the road after everyone had enough joy juice and excitement, and it's coming on a little bit early that, nope, we're going to jump right into reality and tell everyone exactly how it is. And so you just have to think that really just moving up in frequency in this just new journey is about learning to respect one another, learning to get along, learning that you're part of it all, and learning how to compromise and want to get along and learn more about love. And no, it's not just happy, happy, joy, joy. It's a whole experience out there. So with that, I guess I'm saying all that because again, the Council of One is not perfected. It's not of a group of beings that is just perfected and know how to do everything. And they're learning and growing and doing as well throughout all of this, just like us. Now, I'm not trying to put anyone down, but I just, have a desire for people to see things how it really is, so that they can start to untangle from all of the mistruths that are out there. And then once you really know how it really works, and you really understand how powerful you are, and you really understand the concepts of co-creation and how to make it happen, then we really get rolling. The steam really gets going. And people will be amazed at how quickly they can change things and turn things around for themselves. But anyway, Chris, go ahead and have your say.
All right. Yeah. What she said was absolutely right. I was wishing that this particular show would take a little longer, but Michael and his children and them were pretty insistent that it be talked about, so that everyone could start off on a more truthful path versus a lot of the psyops out there. And the thing with the Council of One, this is something I have not posted to the YouTube yet. It's going to be a little bit yet. But the channeling I did about the Council of One was all of these new members being inducted in from all different species from all over the quadrant. And these are species that barely got along out there. And they were on a razor's edge to begin with. And by us being more peaceful and being in the moment, we help them, and then they in turn can help us back. People forget that these beings are our equals, not our overlords, not our gods. They are our equals just because they are in a different wavelength. It doesn't matter. They need us just as much as we need them. So this is something that Michael and them have always reiterated, that they're not our rulers, they're not our gods. They can come in and assist us, but we in turn can assist them by being more balanced and being more in the moment, and actually co-creating a better world for us and them, because eventually they're going to be right here with us as equals out in the open, under the sunlight, as some of them say. So I hope that both of us answer your question.
Another channeling,
no, not at the moment. Yeah, but yeah, I hope that answers the question, Jim.
Yeah, no, you guys have done real well. Well, I'd kind of like to be Alexander the Great and cut through the cosmic Gordian knot, obviously sooner than later. And I remember Helios actually saying also too, there are folks, I'm not going to name their names in that session, that no longer hold the title, so that kind of threw me off. And you probably want to, it kind of sounds like you want to bring this up later, at a later time for another show maybe. So I don't know if you can address that now, because I don't know, I got confused what that meant, when they no longer hold the title. Does that mean that they're going to be able to participate in other aspects of the cosmos, or are they done altogether? I got lost there.
Well, what was meant by these beings no longer holding the title or not holding a kingship, they were no longer overlords of each other. They were no longer participating in somebody above somebody else. They were actually at least attempting to sit at the same table. It was actually Enki, Enlil, and Anu that were mentioned in that video that I haven't posted yet. But they were mentioned and basically saying that they no longer held the titles of kings and lords and masters. They were all just people. It's just like with Michael and them. They don't prefer to be called like Archangel, Lord, Master. They just want to be called by their names. Michael just wants to be called Michael or Mikhail. I'm pretty sure Enki and Enlil and Anu just want to be called Enki, Enlil, and Anu. They don't want to be called Lord or Master or King. So this is why they shed all those titles, so they could sit at a large round table with everyone else as equals and not as kings or leaders.
Yeah, it's about time we all get to it. In my opinion, and I'm sure many other people's as well. So no, you guys, this is a great start. You guys have been doing this for a long time. This is awesome. That pretty much answers what I had going on, and we'll catch you guys next time.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Thank you for calling in this time again.
All right. Talk to you guys later. Ciao.
All right. Well, that was a very interesting last question here. So, people that I'm sorry you're just joining us, you caught the show at the very tip end. Okay, Joanna, you want to say something for the end of the show?
Yes. I hope this helps people. Again, this is a lot of information that was you were given, tonight. And again, take it in and just reflect and look at the world around you and start to really untangle yourself from things to be able to figure out what is really you versus what is really a yoke being put on you, and start to slowly untangle from it all and listen to yourself and focus on discovering, if you don't already know, what brings joy into your life. And that, more than anything, will start the ball rolling. So just think about everything that we've spoken about tonight. So anyway, for the end of the show, we always like to give an affirmation and blessing, and this one comes from Lentasar, and she says, "May those embroiled in true hardship be forever at peace, and may those who feel fear, pain, and anguish feel the freedom of love's true fire. Blessings to all of you now at this time and at this place in your histories." So with that, we'll just again leave with a few announcements. As soon as we're done with the show, it can be replayed immediately. You just have to call the free conference call replay number of 712-775-7039 and enter the participant code, which is 356878. Basically, Chris works on these pretty quickly, and so in the next day or so, the show will also be posted on the Lifting website. Watch for our weekly blog. Again, we put them up on Mondays, and then every Tuesdays we'll try to add more discussion to it. If you have any questions after the show, please forward them to the lifting2017@gmail.com. As a lot of you know, every other Thursday we have a viewers question show, and I think the next show is next Thursday, March 2nd. And if we get people asking the same question over again, then we will put it up on the FAQ, the Frequently Asked Questions tab, for all to have there. You can schedule a personal reading from Chris or his mom, Katrina, by going to the website and clicking the Appointments tab. For Chris, session costs are $125 for 1 hour and $200 for 2 hours, and he will not go over 2 hours for one session. But thank you so much, guys, for joining us tonight, and we look forward to chatting with you again next Tuesday, February 28th, 2017. Take care, everyone.
Good night, everybody.